I'll be honest, it's rare that I get excited over a new Windows machine, but when I first saw the device that we're looking at today, I have to admit, it was really quite intriguing. You see, we're looking at the Asus ROG Flow Z13 gaming tablet, and I feel for the right person, this might be the only device you need. But let me explain. So this is the latest from Asus in their line of ROG Flow products. And what got me so excited about this initially is that it's a 2-in-1 tablet, similar to the Microsoft Surface Pro, except when it comes to specs. You see, the Flow Z13 comes with a 12th gen Intel Core i9 and an RTX 3050 Ti, so this thing is built from the ground up with gaming in mind. That's where I'm going to end the comparison to the Surface Pro series, because this tablet really has enough going on to stand on its own. When it comes to specs and I/O, it's rocking 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM, and that's not upgradable. There's a 1TB PCIe SSD that is upgradable, a full HD 16x10 100% SRGB display, one Thunderbolt 4 USB-C port, one regular USB-C port, a USB-A 2.0 port, a headphone jack, micro SD card reader, Wi-Fi 6E, a front and rear camera, and an expansion port designed for the ROG XG mobile interface, which I'll touch on more a little bit later. So that's all really quite the mouthful. I love to see the inclusion of a USB-C port for charging, because I cannot stand proprietary ports. So honestly, Asus, thank you. I would have liked if they added just one more USB-C port so that we could have two and also charge, but you could just use a dongle otherwise. Similarly, I would have really liked to seen the inclusion of an HDMI port on the body itself, but similarly, this can just be solved through the use of a dongle. So instead, let's talk about the expansion port that I mentioned earlier. It's designed for the ROG XG mobile interface. It's an accessory which you can buy separately that transforms the Z13 into a full desktop workstation. It's both an eGPU as well as an I/O hub that can have up to an RTX 3080 and adds 4 additional USB-A ports, an HDMI port, a display port, a gigabit Ethernet port, as well as a 280 watt power adapter that can power both the eGPU and the Z13. Now, sadly, Asus didn't send us one of these to try out, so we can't really speak to it, but it opens up the Z13 to be a full desktop workhorse. But enough about that, let's go back to talking about the Z13. I mentioned at the start that for the right person, this could be the only device you need. So let me elaborate on that and explain where I'm coming from. You see, I'm someone who does a lot of creative work, be that editing these videos, making thumbnails, or just messing around in drawing apps. But I am someone who also likes to game. Currently, I use 3 devices for all of those things. I use an iPad for drawing and editing photos, I use a MacBook for making thumbnails and editing videos, and I have an Xbox for gaming. But the Z13 takes all of those devices and just crams them into one. And it's not like this tablet has different aspects that appeal to those different tasks, but rather has aspects that appeal to all of those tasks simultaneously. For example, the display. It's a full HD 120Hz display, and it's stunning. I'm somewhat of a monitor snob when it comes to creative work, but with the 100% sRGB rating, I'd happily use this display for finishing work, such as color grading. But more importantly, this is a gorgeous display to game on. It's crisp and sharp with excellent viewing angles that beat out most displays on gaming laptops I've seen in this price point. The ROG Flow Z13 also comes with Bluetooth 5.2, which lets you connect a ton of peripherals to it. But it also means you can connect up to 4 different controllers for multiplayer gaming. And when it comes to gaming, this tablet pairs really well with Xbox Game Pass. With Game Pass, you can pay a monthly subscription and have access to unlimited downloads for a ton of the latest games, such as Halo Infinite or Forza Horizon 5, and you don't even need an Xbox to avail of this service. New games these days are pretty huge in file size though, upwards of 100 gigabytes for some, So this is where I would have liked to have seen a larger storage option, such as 2 terabytes. But for Game Pass, you also have the option to stream games via the cloud, and with the Wi-Fi 6E on board, latency shouldn't really be much of an issue. For this review, I played a number of AAA games on the Z13. Halo Infinite, Dirt 5, and Doom Eternal. And I never really had any performance issues for either. Halo Infinite performed consistently around 70 to 100 FPS on medium settings, and well, that was pretty consistent across the board. Every game defaulted to medium quality settings when booted up, but depending on the game, I reckon you could push that further. The only issue I ever ran into though was booting Halo multiplayer while also screen recording. For whatever reason, the tablet just totally froze and I had to perform a hard reboot to get it back up and running. Otherwise, it handled gaming just fine. When it comes to battery life, the Z13 has a 56 watt-hour battery and comes with a 100 watt power adapter capable of fast charging, which can get you 50% of the way in about 30 minutes. I was getting on average about 5 hours a day, but with the fast charging, I didn't, So as I was saying, I was getting about 5 hours a day on average, but with the fast charging, I didn't really feel any battery anxiety. So functionally, this tablet was quite a joy to use. It's coming in at around 1.2 centimeters thick and around 1.5 kilograms with the keyboard attached and about 1.3 without it. I was really impressed with the keyboard and trackpad that come included. It's an RGB chiclet style keyboard and feels quite pleasant and responsive. There's a little bit of flex on the keyboard itself, but not enough to really be an issue. Similarly, the trackpad has a very natural feeling responsiveness to it and a very satisfying click. Probably one of the best I've used in a 2-in-1 like this. The speakers aren't bad, but they won't blow you away either. They get reasonably loud at around 70 dB on average, but lack any decent low end at higher volumes, resulting in somewhat of a tinny sound. Now, as you can hear, the fans get pretty loud. Not so loud that they annoy you, but if you do find it bothersome, there are options within the tablet to nerf performance in exchange for a lower fan noise. But right now they're coming in at around 40 to 50 decibels. The hinge at the back allows for around 170 degrees of flexibility, and back there is also where you'll find this neat little viewing window that gets lit up by RGB, as well as the micro SD card slot and the port to access the upgradeable SSD. So all in all, I really enjoyed using the Z13. I think Asus really nailed it with the design and functionality and didn't cut any corners when it came to quality or performance of this device. Again, I would have liked to have seen a full HDMI port on the body, as well as an additional USB-C port, and maybe even a full-size SD card reader while we're at it. But aside from those few nitpicks, I think this is a terrific device at a very reasonable price point at around $1,700 US. So if you found this video helpful at all, let us know by either dropping a comment down below, giving us a like, or even better, subscribing to our channel. Because I don't know if you know this, but the rest of our videos are actually pretty dang good, especially this one. My name's Robin, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, you better.